Hey, Taylor. Thanks for joining us today. As we're getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, my name's Taylor Booth. Currently, I'm serving as the senior vice president of sales for a few markets in the Ohio and West Virginia area for iHeartMedia. I've been in media sales my entire professional career. I graduated from a small private college. My first job was actually with its legacy Time Warner Cable, now Spectrum Reach. I sold cable advertising, Monday Night Football. It was pretty cool for me. And then about 4 years ago, I made the transition over to iHeart just as an account executive. And in my tenure here, I've been an account executive, I've been sales manager, SVP of sales for a few markets now. And I guess we'll see where it takes us.
So you like the easy sale? Is that why you went into media?
Oh, not necessarily, just so many options, the creativity, Brian. There's an answer for everybody,
Well,
right?
it's rare that I've had a lot of my background, selling software security, but now I
Mhm.
sell media. So I know what
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
go
Look at
through.
that. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. It's full circle. I had no intent of getting into sales or media or anything. It happened to be how the stars aligned, and here we are.
And why did you? Was it just what was available or?
Uh, Not really. I mean, my original plan was I like numbers. I like math. I like science, physics. I know it's some kids like chocolate and some kids like math. So I was the weird kid that liked math. And I really wanted to pursue chemical engineering as a major.
Yeah.
And then I actually had an opportunity come up for some scholarship money. Um, and that school didn't offer engineering. And I thought, well, money talks. So I went into a business degree. I graduated and still had no idea what I wanted to do. And then one of the marketing professors at the university I attended sent me a text one day, and she goes, "Hey, I have an opportunity. Would you be interested in a B2B sales position?" And I replied, I'm like, sales doesn't sound fun, but I'm unemployed and I've got student debt. So I'll take anything full
It
time right
sounds
now.
more
And
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, right. Yeah. And the rest, I guess, has been history since then.
And what was it like for you? Because clearly you weren't born that way, right?
No. I mean, as far as like the whole sales aspect in and of itself, I enjoy talking to people. Conversation tends to kind of be pretty naturally. I like human interaction. But as far as like the media stuff goes, I didn't I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I really didn't know what I was doing until the first full year. I thought I had a clue,
Yeah.
and then I finished the second year, and then I thought I had a clue, and then I finished the third year, and I thought I had a clue. But it's a little bit of everything, right? It's molding, it's learning, and media is so expansive anymore. It's not like it was in the early '90s where you can buy a TV ad, a billboard, a radio spot, or a spot in the newspaper. Everything is so segmented. And even your traditional companies like your Time Warners, like your Spectrums, like your iHearts, it's not just TV, it's not just radio, it's about video and audio. So it's really important that everybody in my field, my industry, stays up to date on everything that's changing and then trying to be as educated as possible because it's evolving so quickly.
And your typical prospect, was it B2C?
Uh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's B2B for us. Typical prospect is B2C. Our biggest vertical is automotive.
Okay.
We do well with healthcare industry, retail, restaurants, whether that's sit down or quick service. Um,
And were you selling into the marketing department or to advertising agencies or both?
yes, and all of the above.
Anybody who'll
So
listen? Yeah.
yeah, so it's currently a Thursday around noon, and just this week alone, I have spoke to a human resource director, a director of marketing, a sales manager, owners, dealers, operators. All facets of any type of industry or workforce you can imagine.
And have you sold to other people? Because they're squirrely little rascals, aren't they?
Well, it's always interesting, and everybody sells to everybody, right? Um, Obviously, our quickest way to success is being able to get to the person that holds the check, and that's in any sales industry, right?
Yeah.
The quicker you can, get to that person, the faster you can, get the sale done. But it's really about getting the whole team on board. we just conducted a really, really good meeting last week. Also, the cool thing about what we do at iHeart is we work with advertisers on the local level and we work with advertisers on the national level too. So me, along with a few members of our team, we're currently working on a national campaign for a retailer, and we're integrating some podcasting into it, along with some other assets. But we had a director of marketing in the room, we had the VP of marketing in the room, we had a marketing assistant in the room, and there were about 3 or 4 other assistants or volunteers. So I mean, really, you get everyone to buy into it. This is the solution. Here's your guys' need. What do we think about it? And I hate to say the word groupthink, but
Yeah. Well, I got to believe it's hard because marketing people have tons of options,
oh goodness, yeah.
right? And they tend to find shiny objects. What's the next thing or something different?
Oh yeah. What's the answer? I mean, for the long. So when I first got into it, the shiny toy and the answer to everything was geofencing, right?
Okay.
Wow, we can target advertising off your zip code. Well, now, essentially, who can't do that? As of late, as far as what's the shiny great thing? And well, I mean, for us, it's podcasting. Our company's really dove into the podcasting space. We're the number one podcaster publisher in the country by twofold, with over 400 million downloads every single month. But yeah, to your point, you meet and talk with marketers. Every time I'm making a call on somebody, there's 15, there's, what is it? I think the exact stat is 15 or 16 other people trying to sell that person. Maybe not the same exact type of service, but it falls under that category. It's some type of outbound marketing or advertising.
Yeah. Is that the hardest part of the sale, or is it keeping the interest and the momentum? Because I bet those meetings go well because
Oh yeah.
You got a big company, you got lots of references, it all looks
Yeah.
great, but then they go to the next meeting.
Oh yeah. And I think that's our biggest advantage. I mean, being able to say that we have activation capabilities at the local and national level and everywhere in between. So obviously that's advantageous at getting meetings at all levels. Meeting itself, I really enjoy presenting. I love talking about information. I love data. I sell based off of data. I know not everyone does that, but it works well for me. And then, like you said, the hard part is it's like, okay, so we've shown you this. Here's what we can do. Let's move forward. Well, and then everything slows down, right? So
that's when it stops.
Yeah. So that's where it gets really fun, and then any discovery call, we call it a client needs analysis.
Yeah.
Where, at least in our industry, where most sellers, where they tend to slip up is because, like, well, I showed you everything that we can do for you. Why don't you want to buy it? Well, it's because they don't care.
Well, yeah, because then it's up to them to map what you do to what they need.
Yeah. And what problem is it going to solve for that company?
Right.
I mean, these guys, they don't care that iHeartMedia is the number one media company in North America. That doesn't matter to them. They don't care if we have the top radio stations. They don't care about our top talents. All that's great. And none of it matters if you can't solve their problem.
Right. And their problem is getting the word out and have people take action.
Yeah. And whatever it is, and everybody's got a different KPI. I mean, sometimes it's web traffic, sometimes it's foot traffic, sometimes it's units sold, e-commerce, you name it. But to really, really drill down, and to get to that next level of the sale is getting, hey, this is everything I've shown you. What do you guys want to accomplish? Okay, well, here's how we can help you accomplish that. And then now you're really vested in their business. I love going up against what I call them order takers.
Which is most salespeople.
Yeah.
And they're trained that way. It's not their fault.
Right. Yeah. And it is what it is. But really, more specifically, it's been about the last 3 or 4 months. We've been implementing, I say we as in me and my selling team, we've done a lot more as far as deep dives, which we should be doing with every customer every week. I mean, there's no way around it. We should be, but we've really turned it on and asked them about their business. Because, we can tell, we do this and your web traffic is up. Well, that's great. Web traffic can be up, but if sales are down, what's that really doing for the company, right? So we can say our stuff looks good, but what's it really mean to them?
Yeah. And how about, like, in B2B, the
Mhm.
nightmare in marketing is attribution
Mhm. Yes,
because
absolutely.
if there's
Yeah,
no attribution, there's almost no likelihood they'll do it.
you're exactly right. And that has been the age old conversation for any type of traditional media, right? Well, sure, a newspaper can say this, or how do I know if somebody heard a radio ad, or how do
Right.
I know someone saw my television ad? And so with this expansion of media, you know, we can attribute anything we do, including traditional radio ads.
Yeah.
A lot of that is related to WebLift, but we partner with a couple companies with Attribution where we look at WebLift and we can actually look and see, if I get delivered a podcast ad for your business, and if I go and I sign up for something, we can see that with tracking pixels. And that's one of the, I think, as far as differentiation goes, like if you want to see it work, we can show you that it works. But we also believe in multi-touch attribution. We have an expansive set of products. We also know there are dozens and dozens of competitors out there. We go, hey, the best marketing is, of course, every piece of marketing, right? And we never walk into a business and go, oh, hey, you had your best month ever last month. You're welcome. We don't do that. We're glad to be at the table, and we're glad to be a part of the conversation. And we just think we're a piece of that puzzle to help them get to where they want to be at.
Yeah. And you've had a very quick rise there.
Yeah, it's it's been fun. I mean, fast pace. I've been very, very fortunate to be in the position I'm in.
And what do you attribute that to?
Um, Honestly, networking. I was not a great high school student, and I mean, I was okay. I stayed eligible. Um, College, I took it a little more serious as far as academics go. It's like, all right, well, if I'm paying good money for this education, I might as well apply myself. But I still wasn't the best student.
Yeah.
But I made sure in my 4 years, my undergraduate, I spent that time talking to professors, volunteering in groups, learning who the big players are in this market, in this space, knowing that eventually one of these days, wherever I land professionally, I'm going to have a connection to get myself in the door. It's going to be a warm lead. Now, at that point in time, I didn't necessarily know it was going to be in sales, but that's how I ended up getting that first interview with Time Warner Cable, was because I helped found the American Marketing Association at that university along with a couple buddies of mine.
Cool.
And yeah, that professor, I wasn't even a student. I never had her for a class, but she was an advisor for our marketing board. And she goes, hey, Taylor Booth wasn't my best student, but I, I think you could give him a shot, and I think he'll make
I
it work.
think he's available.
Yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. For lack of a better phrase, I was certainly available.
And did somebody coach you on that, or was it something that it just kind of organically liked?
I think it's genetic.
Yeah.
Yep. My family, I mean, we're all talkers.
Yeah.
There's not a quiet moment. I'm one of 22 grandkids. There's not a quiet moment at any family holiday between uncles, cousins, brothers. But as far as putting myself out there, I like opportunity. I'm super competitive. I don't care if it's professional or recreational. I won't call myself an athlete, but I participate in sports. So the competitive nature of it, once I got into it, it's like, well, I want to be the best.
And
And it adapted over time.
in that competitiveness, how did it surface as a kid? Were you in sports, or you had a large family? Sounds like a lot of
Uh,
grandkids, but how many were in your family?
yeah. So immediate family, I'm all there is.
That's
I'm
it?
I'm unique. Yeah, it was just me and my mom growing up. I'm dead serious. I am one of one. Um, yeah.
You were her favorite.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was guaranteed. I'm also the number one grandson because I'm the oldest,
Oh,
but
okay.
we'll leave that up to debate too. But yeah, I was heavily involved in sports. Um, you know, through my younger years, baseball, basketball, golf and bowling, and then golf and bowling transitioned into high school, and then collegiately, I was a bowler too. That's where I ended up at the college I did. It was on a bowling scholarship. So it started from there, and I would say friendships too. I have a lot of
Yeah.
like-minded friends, and we all like competing with each other. It doesn't matter if we're playing if we're doing a round of golf or we're doing marbles. It doesn't matter. We want to win.
And how about as far as learning sales? Did you have a great mentor? Did you just grind it out? Were you a student of the game? What was your strategy?
I took a little bit from everybody. Looking back, this is actually, I was reflecting on this morning, like how it came to be. Um, my full first year was just a lot of just being a sponge.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
when when I started, there was an account executive who was getting ready to retire, and she taught me a lot about relationship building, being in person, conducting that good CNA. For some of the more tech stuff, like we talk about, gross trading points, impressions, cost per thousand, things like that. Um, my first sales manager at Time Warner, he was a big part of that. And then as I transitioned to iHeart, um, I've had a really, really good leadership team that's, and I've focused a lot more the last probably 2 or 3 years on more of the big game hunting stuff. Um, and that's been really, really fun. And it's a really, really different aspect because I'm technically from small market USA.
Yeah,
Where I'm a part of,
middle
part
America.
of those flyover states, if you will. So I've had some success in there recently. It's been really good, and I hope we have more in the future. And I just want to keep on learning. If I can learn a little bit from everybody I run into, I can try and mold myself into the most well-rounded representative I can.
And what would you say is your strongest sales characteristic?
I think it has to be. I take a lot of pride in when I enter a room. And this isn't always true, but when I enter a room, there shouldn't be anybody else in there that knows my product or industry better than I do.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason I try to do that is because we obviously work with all kinds of industries, all types of businesses. It's physically impossible for me to know absolutely everything about every business, period. But if I can understand their needs and I know what we can offer, it makes it a lot easier to come to a solution.
And what skill would take your game to the next level?
Oh man, to get myself to the next level, I need to be. I think if I can qualify leads better,
Yeah.
and I think that's been my biggest transition. From, and we still do the local stuff, right? I work with plenty of local advertisers. I love working with those people. Calling on some of the big game stuff, it's a different beast. It's a different mentality, and the competition is that much greater. If you're talking to your local hometown restaurant that everyone likes, yeah, sure, you'll have a few media outlets here in town, but you want to talk about a national campaign, well, now suddenly you're putting in a bid up against what, 40, 50, 60 other agencies possibly.
Yeah.
So if I can get better at qualifying that stuff, positioning myself, and then positioning our company in a place to win, I think I could definitely see a lot more success and a lot more closing ratios.
In those big national accounts, do you get much inbound or is it totally outbound, given that they're beat up by people who can sell
Oh,
media?
I bet you from top to bottom, and I don't think the number really changes, honestly, from our biggest to our smallest. As far as, I mean, we cultivate, I'm going to guess 90% of our own business.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Wow.
cold calling. Yeah, it's a lot of cold calling. It's a lot of prospecting. We get some stuff that comes in. Obviously, we get requests. People call and want to talk about doing stuff on the air, get involved on podcasts. But yeah, I mean, the vast majority of everything we do, we build on our own.
Wow. And who do you go after? Let's say you're going after P&G, right? Do you call a
Sure.
CMO? Do you call, media buyer? Do you call anyone you know? Or what would your
I
strategy
start.
be?
I start at the warmest place possible.
Yeah,
If
smart.
I know somebody who works at P&G in the factory in Lima, Ohio, I'm going to go, hey,
How
I
you
doubt
doing?
you know the guy. Yeah, I doubt you know the guy I'm trying to talk to, and he's probably in a tower in a big city somewhere. But your boss knows somebody one person closer to that. Who is that?
Yeah.
And I've had some good success with that. If it's completely cold, it could be a call to the front desk. It could be an email to a info@company.com. Now, obviously, the success rate on those are much, much lower, but I try to start anywhere I can internally where I have the warmest lead, where there's somebody I know and I have them point me in the right direction.
That's smart because a lot of people would just go to the CMO, which
Which sometimes I
may
do that.
work. May work,
Yeah.
who knows? But
Yeah. It
it's
depends.
going to be cold. There's going to be no reference or introduction. And then if it doesn't work, What do? You call again? You call the next person near them, or
Oh, sure. It's a comfort thing, right? And if I can get a referral to the decision maker, it already it lets their guard down a little bit. That's the biggest thing. People, salespeople. Oh gosh, Taylor's here. Oh gosh, that salesperson's trying to call
it's
me. Oh,
back.
you got to put the guard up, right? The sooner that we can disengage and build that relationship, the sooner we get to make it a win-win for not just for us, but obviously for our clients as well.
And what keeps you in this market?
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fast paced. I and everyone's probably said this. I had no intentions of leaving the cable company. I had some really early success there. For my age, I was doing very well. And then my current boss called me. He's like, "Hey, do you want to sell radio?" And I'm like, I said, "I'll look into it." And then we met a couple times. Got into the industry, and it's fun. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. At least it is for me. I think media sales is a lot of fun. We get to a lot of different things. We have iHeart Jingle Ball coming up for the last part of the year. Big winter concert across the country. We just finished up the iHeart Radio Music Festival out in Las Vegas. It keeps you engaged, it keeps you entertained, and it's also nice that we work for a company that stays so progressive, right?
Yeah.
iHeart could have easily just stayed in the radio space, and that could have been the end of it. But our leadership is so progressive. We got into the streaming, we got into the podcasting, streaming television, everything top to bottom, you name it. And it's a different opportunity every single day. So that's why I come back. I like it. It keeps me on my toes.
And when you're talking to like somebody who's new in the company, new on your team, and they've had a bad day, a little couple too many hangups in a row or something, how can you tell if they've got what it takes to make it in that space?
It's attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, if you let it beat you up, it will beat you up.
Yeah.
One line that I say a lot, and my wife won't be, maybe she won't care, who knows? But I always tell people, guys, if the answer is no, like tell me if it's no. I'm in sales and I'm married. I get told no all the time. It's okay. Some people have a hard time and they take it personal.
Right. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. The only thing I always remind people is, hey, every decision that somebody makes is a business decision. It's not a personal decision. So if they can deal with that and let it roll off their back a little bit.
Yeah. And I got to believe that marketing people aren't the hang up types.
Oh, no.
Am I wrong?
No, not typically. I mean, it depends. And based off of what industry we're working in, we can tell. So the example, we have a new hire in our market. We gave him an assignment and say, hey, call on these like businesses and, tell them about what we're doing here and see if they'd be interested. This poor guy made 30 straight phone calls and had a genuine conversation, I think, twice.
Yeah.
This is like his second week with us, bunch of hangups, bunch of voicemails. And I said, well, how was today? And he goes, well, I didn't talk to anybody. I got hung up on 10 times. I got 3 voicemails. I got 3 I'll call you backs. And I'm going to call them all again tomorrow because I want to talk to those people. And I'm like, well, great. I said, that's the perfect mentality you need to have. So we've got high hopes for him, and we think he'll be really successful.
And what do the smartest people in the space do? Because they're probably not cold calling all day, right?
No, they're not. The smartest people, honestly, they're probably using referrals. So one of the things that I've said that's gotten me a couple meetings, and it's the truth. It's not like a flattery thing or whatever. But with some of these companies I've talked with, I've said, hey, we've met a few times, haven't really come to a conclusion. That's completely okay. But here's what I really believe is that iHeart and your company are both too big to not be working together. There's a lot that each of us can benefit from it. And we need to have some type of partnership. Let's work on something that can be a win-win for both of us.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to think it is. And
well, it's
hopefully it works. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not this hard, cheesy close. It's like,
right.
Just seems logical. Why are we not?
And I try to be so authentic, and the cheesy stuff, the fluff, the decks, and we have access to, as you can imagine, gobs and gobs of resources. And if you wanted to know everything about what we can do, I can show you in a PowerPoint, and it's going to be about 7 miles long. Um, but if you can come in and you can have the conversation and you can just narrow it down to the main points, like what do you want to accomplish and how can we help you do it? It makes
Yeah.
the conversation much, much simpler.
And what's your motive? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What keeps you going late at night?
I don't, I don't like losing.
Yeah.
I, and that's probably an ego thing, but I take my job very serious. I take a lot of pride in what I do. Um, and I would like to think that, our customer base would say the same. We can tell that, I care about my job and our reps care about our jobs. We care about their business just as much. And we love seeing their success, because if they're winning, then we're winning. And if we can help them win, we're going to continue winning with those accounts in the future.
And what does losing look like in your space? Or to you? Does it mean you lost a bid? Does it mean someone canceled the meeting, or somebody doesn't believe in your product or your company, or all of
The
that?
the biggest one for me is if I can't secure a meeting with somebody because I'm doing something severely wrong. Um, that means they don't see value in anything I want to talk to them about. As far as losing, I mean, on the hard stuff, I compare us to other like size markets across the country. I look at our billing compared to theirs. I look at neighboring markets that we have, even if they're different sized. And that's common for us. We share ideas across markets and things like that.
But I got to believe that marketing people will take more meetings than, say, engineering or accounting or finance or.
Oh, certainly. I think one of the hardest people we've had meeting with as of late has been HR people.
Yeah.
Because it's been a unique bucket, right? As far as media people goes, it was always just the marketing person we went to before, right? Well, of course, nationwide for 2 years now, there's been this massive need for workers,
People.
and
Yeah.
so we're like, well, let's go straight to the source. Let's talk to the HR people. Let's see what they're doing. And so now, if you want to talk competition, we're in a space and we're competing against companies that we never would have competed against 20 or 30 years ago. We're talking about taking money from ZipRecruiter and putting it with iHeartMedia. We're talking about taking money from Monster and putting it with iHeartMedia. We're not talking about the other radio stations down the road, and we're not talking about the TV stations. It's everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're looking for a job, most people aren't looking for a job. So you got to get the people who aren't on the job boards, to hear about it. Because the
Yes,
people
and
on the job
yep.
boards, right?
Yes, and so the passive job seekers, right? The people who are like, "Oh, I'm
Yes.
employed. I enjoy what I'm doing," but if the right opportunity comes along, I'd look at it. And
Yeah.
that's what we try to couple of our plans around too. And we talk as HR people is yes, obviously the people looking for jobs they're going to find you somewhere. But what about the people that you would love working for you that are not working here right now? How are you reaching them? And
And
that's where that conversation transitions.
for you guys, is it early adopters, or you got enough radio and assets that aren't like cutting edge podcasting? It's 15 years old. It's still not considered cutting edge, I guess. But
I would say we're early adopters.
yeah,
It's more without speaking too much. Um, we have several product verticals, specifically in the automotive industry.
yeah,
Um, I mean, we're competing with Cars.com, Auto Trader, the third party sites. We're looking at taking share from those guys. This product that we have just rolled out. Actually, it was beta tested in 2021. It was rolled out to the enterprise back in March. But since March, we've added nearly 600 car dealers across the country with this product. And this isn't a new product necessarily. We're just doing it in a different way that makes it more affordable for our car dealers.
yeah. And where do your deals get stuck? Because especially the
When
big
you,
ones,
yes.
not like the
Um,
mom and pops, but the major, over
yeah,
six figures.
I would say, after the ask, but more times than not, um, sellers in general, they never make the hard ask. And that's where things get slowed up. It gets to the, well, what do you think? Oh, well, we'll think about it. We'll follow up next week. Oh, okay. And you follow up. Okay, so what do you guys think? Oh no, we're still thinking about it. It is so imperative, and I've been reiterating this too to our team, that you make the hard ask. Like, okay, so here's what you're trying to accomplish. Here's what we think will help you accomplish that. Here's what's going to deliver for you, and here's your investment. Are we ready to go? It's a yes and no question. If more sellers, and people are afraid to, right? That's a big thing. You're asking for a large sum of money,
Right. And
but
what you think just rolls right into, I need to think about it.
yes,
When,
yes,
when you frame it in a almost a closed end question.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Because I got to believe, is that at the proposal stage or is that at the kind of conversational stage?
That's more the proposal stage. We
Yeah.
go in, we have the conversation, we build the proposal, and then
Yeah.
we bring it back. And it's the old, oh, okay, yep, well, we'll think about it. It's like, so what are you thinking about? Obviously, something in here is making you uncomfortable, or there's something in here that you don't want to see, or something that caught you off, or something you don't understand. Let's talk through that. Let's work through that.
That's good. And have you ever gotten any negative? I can see how that would work.
Oh, yeah. Like negative feedback.
Like,
God,
no, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I need to run this by somebody, or kind of
Oh,
what I call gaslighting, where it's a lie represented as a rational explanation.
yeah. And we know too, right? As I'm sure most people do. We can tell, people can tell if they're being ran around or not. Um, I think that's honestly an accountability conversation. Um, if the person you're trying to sell to is trying to, like I said, gaslight you, or say, oh, well, I got to check with this person, whether they do or don't. Um, there's a reason they don't trust you. They don't trust what you're presenting, or they don't trust to tell you, no, the answer is no, here's why.
Yeah.
They have to make an excuse to dance around it. So I believe that's on us as sellers to build that rapport with our customers and to make sure they have that trust in us.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people just shopping just to have, let's see what they do and what it costs. And someday maybe I'll pull it off the shelf and give Taylor a call.
Yeah, there's actually not a ton of that.
Really?
Um, no, at least with me there isn't, and I don't know if that'd be specific to me or specific to our industry, but we don't get a lot of runarounds. So, I mean, that's an advantage too.
Yeah. It is. It definitely is, because
Yeah.
a lot of people just, is curious how it works.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
Right? Is it a
Yeah.
5K thing? Is it a 50K thing? I don't know.
Well, and that's in the exact answer I give everybody is, hey, we work with local advertisers. Some spend $200 a month. We have advertisers on the national level. We just had an advertiser do a 5-quarter, $27 million deal with us.
Wow.
So yeah. I wasn't on that team, but that was a fun one to celebrate across the company. But we work with all walks of life. It takes all kinds to make a world, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
so if we do get some requests like that, like, well, how much is a radio commercial? It's like, well, you can buy one radio commercial for, a few dollars if you want to, but it's not going to do anything for you.
Right. You get back to the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably the extent of our window shopping, I guess, as I would call it.
Cool. Hey, I really appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you having me. I'm on LinkedIn. Find me on there, Taylor Booth. I work for iHeartMedia. I'm here in one of the flyover states in the Midwest and lovely Northwest Ohio. Anybody that wants to look at it, getting into the podcasting, advertising space, streaming TV, streaming audio, radio, events, things like that, you can find me. I can help you out, and if I can't help you out, I can certainly hook you up with somebody at your local level to get you guys what you need.